How much are you itching to get the upgrades for Imola?
Yeah, definitely been counting down the days for it. So I'll find out this week what we're expecting, what kind of trajectory that puts us on, but I'm really hoping that it helps us take a step forwards.
The Baku GP has highlighted yet another issue with Mercedes, one that the team wasn't hoping to experience prior to bringing their new rear suspension. On top of that, Wolff has played down the expectations of the fans when it comes to the new design of the car, and at this point, Mercedes is betting all of their money on it. A rough patch is ahead for Mercedes, and after the recent statements that came from Hamilton and Wolff, the Silver Arrows seem to be back at ground zero, exactly where they started in Bahrain. So, is there any chance that we'll see Mercedes competitive again in 2023, or have they already thrown in the towel and started working towards 2024? Now, the 2023 season started exactly how Mercedes wouldn't like it to start, behind Ferrari and Red Bull, and on top of that, they showed an extreme lack of pace compared to one of their customer companies, Aston Martin. Wolff has been the first one to downplay the chances of Mercedes being where everyone expects them to be with the new design of the W14, as he went on to add, "The target for the upgrade is Imola, but I need to manage everybody's expectations. We're talking so much about the upgrade, but we're not going to put it down on the track and drive circles around Red Bull." Now, Mercedes' main weakness at this point is the lack of rear downforce, which resulted in them building a car that had too strong a front end that was too pointy and aggressive in the corners. This has been pointed out by Hamilton on many occasions, but yet again the team failed to realise that the no-pod side-pod design wouldn't do them any good, no matter how innovative it is or how much uniqueness it brings to their car. And now, with Red Bull's competitiveness going through the roof and Mercedes lacking in many departments compared to the Austrian team, the only hope that they have is in the design change itself. This became imminent from day one in Bahrain, and while everyone was hoping that we'd see a car that would push Red Bull to its limits and be more competitive, we were utterly disappointed. Not everything is as bad as you'd think though, as Mercedes brought back some familiar faces in the factory and reappointed them to their old roles, such as James Allison being the technical director and replacing Mike Elliott. It's never a good thing when a team member goes on to say that he isn't good for the role to which he's been appointed to, but at least honesty and maturity are what Mercedes needs in order to move forward and finally be competitive for wins and championships. Yet, the W14's redesign, one that has Allison's imprint all over it, doesn't seem to impress Wolff at all. And even though Mercedes is known for playing the underdog card, this time it might be for real. Wolff went on to emphasise the power that Red Bull currently has, adding, "Over 40 racing laps, that's half a second a lap. At least we saw that Red Bull were pushing today, but half a second is quite a long way to go. We either have to do a better job, all of us together, to catch them up or change the regulations. And I don't think we should be doing the second. We have to win on merit, and that means being more clever." Outsmarting Adrian Newey will probably be the hardest task that Mercedes will have to deal with in the upcoming period, but there are some things they can bet will go in their favour, such as the increased time in the wind tunnels. The aerodynamic facilities are where Mercedes would want to emphasise the power of the newly designed W14, and the fact that Red Bull has a sporting penalty that reduces their time spent here could only mean one thing for Mercedes. If they get the design right, then they're in for an interesting and competitive season. Wolff's comments, however, have raised some eyebrows in the paddock, and one couldn't help but wonder, is this all on purpose? After all, the massive change in Imola is what Mercedes have been waiting for ever since Bahrain ended, and Hamilton has also said that he's counting the days until Imola comes, as he went on to add, "I think we already knew from quite early on that we would have quite a few races until this upgrade, so it's just counting the days down or counting the weeks down. We don't currently quite know exactly how good the upgrade will be. We know it will be the start of something new for us, but in Miami, I hope it's better pace-wise. Last year we were bouncing there a lot. We're in a much better place this year with our car, so I hope we're a lot closer to the guys there." One thing that Mercedes also has to deal with is Hamilton's contract, one that will end this season, and one that, while it has been positively talked about by Hamilton and Wolff, has yet to be worked on. To add salt to the wound, Wolff said that Leclerc is the type of driver that Mercedes definitely has on their radar for the future. And while it's not the short or medium term future, it's definitely one in which he will replace the 7-time world champion if the willpower appears on both sides. When talking about this matter, Wolff said, "Charles is a super guy, and for the long-term future, someone you need to always have on your radar. And that's clear, but not for the short and the medium term." What Mercedes also plans for the short future is to change the car around Hamilton's priorities, as the 7-time world champion has been very critique-oriented of the narrow cockpit. Recently, he's spoken about how it feels like he sits at the front wheels of the car, and that reduces his ability to navigate the car properly. This has been confirmed by a lot of F1 experts such as Damon Hill, and that's why Wolff went on to add that the 2024 car will definitely see a different cockpit, as this particular part isn't workable for the current season. When talking about this part, Hamilton said, "I don't know if people know, but we sit closer to the front wheels than all the other drivers. Our cockpit is too close to the front. When you're driving, you feel like you're sitting on the front wheels, which is one of the worst feelings to feel when you're driving a car. What that does, it just really changes the attitude of the car and how you perceive its movement." All in all, Mercedes have a lot of ground to cover in the upcoming period, and there is the topic of who would take the reins between Russell and Hamilton if the car becomes competitive all of a sudden from Imola onwards. While Russell has shown great potential to lead the team to victories and frequent podium finishes, he lacks what Hamilton has the most: experience and championships. Nonetheless, the future is now, and the battle between both Britons will get very interesting once the W14 starts delivering the results they want. This has been confirmed by Wolff earlier in 2022, when he talked about the respect between Russell and Hamilton being at that level because they're now fighting for P5 and P6. Well, with all this in mind, what do you think about the foreseeable future of Mercedes? Do you think that they can be competitive in 2023, or have they already thrown in the towel and started to work towards car improvements in 2024? Let us know in the comments down below.